Before we begin, I need you to do something for me. Close your eyes. Not just a blink, but truly close them. Feel that weight, that darkness behind your eyelids? That empty space is where actual truth resides, untouched by the noise and narratives of this constructed world. Now I want you to imagine something truly terrifying. Imagine that everything you've ever been taught about right and wrong, about virtue and sin, about morality and corruption, is nothing but an elaborate, perfectly engineered lie. A narrative of control so ancient and so deeply embedded in our consciousness that we've mistaken its chains for golden jewelry. Your deepest values aren't sacred guides passed down through wisdom. They're invisible shackles, meticulously forged by centuries of social manipulation and psychological warfare. And morality itself? It's not some divine virtue. It's history's most brilliant pyramid scheme, an elaborate game where you are both the player and the currency. This video is the detonator that will blow this entire prison apart. It will rip the blindfold from your eyes with brutal, unapologetic force. And when truth finally emerges, raw, unyielding, and electric, you won't scream, you'll whisper. And that whisper will be the sound of your despair finally meeting its liberation, the beginning of your actual awakening.
Let's travel back to 1844, to a moment of intellectual rebellion that would echo through centuries. A dangerous man asked an even more dangerous question. What if everything we've been told to revere, everything we hold sacred, is just ghost? His name was Max Stirner, and his masterwork, The Ego and Its Own, was so intellectually radioactive that the establishment's only response was to physically burn it in public squares. Why such extreme reaction? Because within those pages lay a nuclear idea that threatened to unravel civilization itself. The concept of spooks, social ghosts. These are the spectral entities that haunt our collective consciousness. God, country, family, justice, morality itself. Illusions we treat as sacred and eternal, but when examined under the cold, unforgiving light of reason, reveal themselves as what they always were: sophisticated tools of domination and control. Stirner wasn't simply proposing some alternative morality or advocating for immorality. That would be too simplistic, too small for his radical vision. He proposed something far more terrifying to those in power: the radical awakening to the awareness that all morality is theater. Elaborate, convincing, emotionally compelling theater. And like all theater, it doesn't ultimately serve the audience. It serves the stage owners, the scriptwriters, the directors who profit from your suspension of disbelief. They don't want you to question the script. They want you to applaud enthusiastically while they systematically empty both your pockets and your autonomy.
Now let's translate this philosophy from abstraction into devastating reality. Let me introduce you to Daniel, a high-level director at a household name Big Tech Corporation in Silicon Valley. In 2022, he executed a maneuver that was both brutally efficient and intellectually brilliant. He terminated 700 employees in a single financial quarter, all while meticulously curating an Instagram feed filled with charity-run photos, inspirational quotes, and family values content. How is this possible? His strategic playbook came directly from Stirner's teachings. Phase 1. Identification and audit. He systematically analyzed his corporate culture and identified the sacred spooks: meritocracy, collaborative culture, purpose-driven work. Phase 2. Strategic corruption. He deliberately turned these conceptual weapons against his own employees. used elaborate speeches about ethical business practices and difficult but necessary transitions to justify massive cuts, invoked social responsibility to our shareholders and long-term vision to silence internal dissent. Phase 3. Psychological theft. When evidence of his financial malfeasance and intentional misinformation campaigns leaked to the press, he didn't defend or explain, he attacked aggressively, accused the whistleblowers of being deeply immoral for violating company trust and betraying the family. The result? A $4.3 million performance bonus, a promotion to senior leadership, and case study in how Stirner's philosophy operates in modern corporate warfare. His lesson, cold and sharp as a surgical blade, encapsulates this entire philosophy. Morality is not a compass, it's an arsenal. And in the hands of those who understand its operational principles, it becomes the most powerful weapon in modern civilization.
Now we arrive at the practical mechanics of liberation. This is an abstract philosophy. It's an operational protocol, a three-step system to dismantle your own mental prison. Step 1. Self-espionage and internal audit. You must turn your gaze inward and conduct a ruthless, no-holds-barred investigation of your own values. Identify 3 core principles you publicly champion but privately violate. Do you passionately preach honesty and transparency, but consistently lie on your resume and in your professional presentations? Do you champion loyalty and commitment while secretly betraying your partner's trust or your colleagues' confidence? Do you advocate for equality and social justice while feeling a visceral chill of discomfort when encountering people of different economic classes or social status? These aren't moral failures. They're flashing red indicators pointing directly to the spooks that control your behavior. Step 2. Blood analysis and value tracing. For each identified value, you must ask the devastatingly simple yet profound question, who actually bleeds and who actually profits? When you obey the rule of turning the other cheek and loving your enemy, who truly benefits? The religious institutions that preach this doctrine while building enormous political and financial power on your pacifism. When you sacrifice your mental health, personal dreams, and physical well-being for family duty, who reaps the rewards? Often the controlling parents or relatives who demand this sacrifice while offering little in return. When you endure chronic stress, burnout, and workplace exploitation in the name of hard work and dedication, who pockets the actual dividends? The billionaire shareholders and executives who designed this system. You must learn to trace the blood, follow the money, and identify the true beneficiaries of your supposed virtue. Step 3. Metaphysical theft and tool reformation. This is where you transition from passive observer to active existential pirate. You stop seeing moral concepts as sacred commandments and start viewing them as tools in a strategic toolbox. Is honesty useful for gaining someone's trust in a particular situation? Then deploy it strategically. Does that same honesty become a liability when a tactical omission or strategic misdirection offers clearer advantages? Then discard it without sentimental attachment. As Stirner himself declared, "I have no duties, only interests." Your only obligation is to your own power and autonomy. Your only sin is voluntary weakness and unexplored submission.
Now, I want you to pause, to truly silence both the external noise and the internal narratives. I want you to confront what may be the most important question of your life, the one that hides behind all other questions. I want you to ask yourself, with terrifying, unprecedented honesty, what would you actually do if nothing was wrong? If tomorrow, by some miracle or catastrophe, every rule, every law, every whispered fear of damnation and social condemnation simply evaporated? Would you betray your most loyal friend for a position of immense power and influence? Would you ruthlessly destroy an innocent competitor who stood between you and your objectives? Would you steal a decade's worth of research, creative work, or intellectual property from a colleague and claim it as your own without hesitation? Don't answer immediately. Don't speak the response. Just feel it. Feel that cold, expanding void open in the pit of your stomach. Feel your heart hammer against your ribs with primal intensity. That sensation you were conditioned to call guilt or conscience. That isn't some divine moral compass. That's the death rattle of the social ghost inside you, the spook, finally dying. It's the raw, primal terror of the lifelong slave who has just watched his chains fall away, and for the first time realizes he has no idea who he is without them, or how to live as a free being.
And right on schedule, hear them coming, the guardians of the moral order. The priests, the politicians, the pundits, the outraged social media masses. They will scream their predictable accusations with manufactured fury. This is nihilism. This is a philosophy for sociopaths. Stirner inspired the Nazis. You'll die alone and hated. Recognize these reactions for what they truly are, not reasoned arguments, but immune responses, psychological defense mechanisms, spooks fighting for their survival against your awakening. Because Stirner's philosophy isn't about loneliness. It's the ultimate declaration of independence from borrowed identities and imposed narratives. It's not about cruelty. It's about the most creative disobedience imaginable, the reclamation of your own mind. And most critically, this isn't abstract academic theory. This is a field manual for practical warfare against a system whose entire existence depends on your continued obedience and exploitation. Your weapons in this war are three crystalline realizations. 1. Every single moral rule you can name has an author, an owner who benefits directly from its propagation and enforcement. 2. Every owner, no matter how powerful or seemingly untouchable, can be identified, analyzed, and ultimately overthrown. And 3. There is nothing, not God, not government, not tradition, not social norms, that is so sacred it cannot be questioned, analyzed, and if necessary, torn down if it stands between you and your authentic power and autonomy. So, where does this journey leave us? After the deconstruction, after the rebellion, after the awakening, what remains? Only one law. The only law that can ever truly matter in your lived experience. That which strengthens you, enhances you, and expands your autonomy is good. That which weakens you, diminishes you, and constricts your autonomy is bad. Not because some ancient scripture or social contract declares it so, but for the simplest and most profound reason imaginable. Because you are the only sovereign of your universe. You are the absolute center of your own existence and experience. As Stirner wrote with terrifying and liberating clarity, I am owner of my might, and I am so only when I know myself as unique. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to sign the death sentence of every spook that lives rent-free in your mind. To become, fully and completely, the author of your own life. Not tomorrow, not eventually, starting in this exact moment.
If you are 1 in 1,000, if you have the courage to stare directly into the abyss and then decide to build something new from its fragments, subscribe. Tomorrow, we go deeper into the architecture of control with How to Lie Like a God, a Stirnerian manual. Comment. Burn your first spook in the comments. Name it openly. the illusion that work dignifies, the lie of romantic love, the duty to family. Share. This is an intellectual weapon. Share it with someone you want to corrupt toward liberation, someone ready to awaken. And smash the like button if you are not and will never be the property of another's morality.